threw it together, a severed earlobe, mailed to you in an envelope.
The year of Eminem is still going on, and to that end, he's released another music video for one of the tracks on his Kamikaze album, this time for his thought-provoking piece, Good Guy. Between the music video and lyrics, there's a lot to break down, so don't go until the final listing. Also, be sure to subscribe to King Trending and also give the video a like. Let's get right into it. Number 6, Heroes and Villains.
Here we go, getting from heroes to villains.
Eminem is often poetic when he sings some of his more deep and emotional pieces, and you'll see that with a lot of my points for Good Guy. But let's start out with the very first line of the piece where he sings, "Here we go again, from heroes to villains." It may seem like an odd line to start the song off with, but it actually speaks to the nature of things in regards to the human psyche. For when it comes down right to it, we're all heroes in our own minds, we play the heroes in our lives, and then when things happen, we go dark. We become the villain in our own story. Or to quote the Dark Knight film, you either die a hero, or you live long enough to become the villain. For Eminem, he understands this struggle all too well. He's been on both sides of the line. In the early days of his career, he was very much a hero, and he was singing for millions, and then making millions on the side, and then he was inspiring the next generation of rap. But then he fell into depression, started over-medicating, and nearly passed away, becoming a shell of his former self before he tried to get back into the hero mode, which he did, much to people's chagrin. And with Kamikaze, many feel that Eminem went with a more villainous approach with many of his songs, as he used many of them for dissing other rappers and haters.
Still, I don't have any manners. You got a couple of ghostwriters, but to these kids it don't actually matter.
Not to mention he did the song Venom for the hit superhero film, and even referenced himself as a parasite at times because of what his music does to people. So what this all boils down to is that at times, it's really easy to go from one to the other. It just depends on the situation that you're in at the time. Number 5, Kingdom Hearts. Inspiration is one of the best parts of making any kind of media. For when you're inspired by something, you often try and replicate it in your own way, make it yours, and make it shine. And while you may not realize it all the time, Good Guy in terms of its musical background is actually inspired by a video game. This was confirmed by Ella, the producer, who noted the following: "That's me doing my video game thing. Kingdom Hearts. It's a Japanese video game and that's the theme song from it. It's one of the most dopest melodies I've ever heard. Shout out to Japanese video games and Japanese animation for inspiration. Filtered it, did some chops, did some processing to it. I basically made it unrecognizable, but I know they would have still found it. That's why we had to deal with the clearance. But when I do anything, I try to make it where it's not fully recognizable." The song they're referencing is the song Simple and Clean, which is a song that is known worldwide because of its creation for Kingdom Hearts. It was in the trailers for the game as well as the theme for the game's credits and beyond. Not unlike Good Guy, the song is about relationships, but unlike Good Guy, which talks about the dark side of relationships, Simple and Clean is about the purity and love that relationships can have affect one another, which is stated in part of the lyrics. Simple and clean is the way you're making me feel tonight. It's hard to let it go. So in that song's case, the singer is begging the relationship to not stop because of how it makes her feel in the moment. Whereas Eminem, as you'll find out, is wondering how can they keep going when it's clear that everything is going wrong. It's a very interesting contrast, and all the more interesting that Illa, the producer, was inspired by the game. For those who don't know, Kingdom of Hearts is a fusion franchise between Square Enix and Disney. Quite the pairing. Huh? The game focuses on an original character named Sora, who has to go and save the universe, comprised of Disney worlds mostly, from the darkness that lies out there. The third main title, Kingdom Hearts 3, and there's been a lot of spin-offs and fill-in games, is set to arrive on January 2019, and it's one of the most anticipated games of the year. Number 4. The ups and downs of relationships.
To be a housewife who outright lies, she's blackout drunk, now she's backing out my drive.
The sad truth of the matter is that in our world, relationships are one of the most complicated things out there. It's not an insult, it's just a fact. A relationship that's easy typically isn't all that it seems to be, whereas if you struggle at times, argue at times, and work things out, you're usually stronger for it, which is what Eminem is singing in the start of Good Guy, because he actually starts by going all out and trying to make it work with his girl. Used to be a Romeo, but we were both jilted a couple times, so we had a slippery slope to deal with, but it still gave me hope that we'll get through it together. A severed earlobe mailed to you in an envelope would be dope, but what kind of lengths can you go? Pull a Vincent Van Gogh just to convince a damn hoe.
Be dope, but what kind of lengths can you go? Pull a Vincent Van Gogh just to convince a damn.
There's a lot of references in here, but one of the easiest to spot is the Romeo and Juliet reference. This, after all, is one of the most classic love stories ever told, about two people from rivaling families that fall in love with one another. And they go to great lengths to try and be together, but only for one of them to die as a result of their love. But despite the tragedy, people use the terms my Romeo and my Juliet to emphasize the love that they have for someone. For if someone is your Romeo or Juliet, it means that you're their true love. So for Eminem, he's talking about when this relationship relationship with this girl started out, he was her Romeo. But then something went wrong, and they went from lovers to very jilted at one another. The slippery slope talks about how things got towards being very bad. And if they took the wrong step in the wrong direction, it would get even worse. Despite that, he had hope that they would work it out, so he kept on trying. As for the Van Gogh reference, this is very interesting in regards to the history lesson he had. You see, Vincent van Gogh was not only a legendary painter, but he was very passionate about love. So much so that he actually cut off a part of his earlobe and sent it to a woman that he loved to show just how much he loved her, emphasizing that he'll do anything for her. When Eminem gets to this part of the song, he starts to wonder if it's all worth it. Is doing these lengths enough? Should it have to be enough? Should he have to do it at all? When is enough enough? Number 3, abuse.
High score, beat this game I'm in, and here's some to apply for when you date my friends.
Many of you watching know someone who has been in an abusive relationship in one form or another. Whether it be verbal or physical, it's never good. And it's something that should be stopped if it's seen by you. In the music video for Good Guy, Eminem shows the real darkness of abusive relationships by literally having him and Jessie Reyez as a couple. And then that couple start fighting. It starts out in a very interesting way with Jessie Reyez fighting her way out of the dirt and then making her way to Eminem's house. This is a symbolic gesture likely for how Eminem had her buried in terms of the relationship that they had, which is why when he sees her in the video, he's stunned because he thought she was done and gone, but apparently not. What follows is actually a very detailed and intricate fight scene between the two. And it should be noted here that in the fight, Eminem actually doesn't throw a punch. Instead, he plays defensively throughout. Why is this important? Well, it's because no matter how much he abuses him, he doesn't want to hurt her. He still loves her. And no matter how far the fight goes and escalates, he refuses to cause harm to her. In contrast, Jessie's character slowly grows in regards to the violence that she commits on Eminem. She starts with slapping and then goes a lot more violent.
Hit me in the mouth twice, guys. When someone you die for sticks a steak knife in your heart.
But just as an abusive relationship would, at the end, when Eminem is gone, and with her putting him in the grave, she can't help but cling to him out of love and remorse, because even in death, she still cared for him. Number 2, when is enough enough? Eminem really dives into the thoughts that he has about the relationship with this girl in the song. But more than anything, he starts to ask himself and the listener, when is enough enough? And to prove why he's thinking this, he actually sings out a long list of crimes that she does. To be a housewife who outright lies. She's blackout drunk. Now she's backing on my drive. I ran outside. Why is she trying to act out? She's just about my size. Hit me in the mouth twice. Guys, when someone you died for sticks a steak knife in your heart, do you try more? Another late night in. She stumbles through my door. Lets the daylight in, and all we do is fight more.
Night in, she stumbles through my door. Lets the daylight in, and all we do is fight more.
It's true that in love and marriage, and he emphasizes that in the song that they're married, that you agree to love the other in sickness and health, for richer or poor. But the problem here lies is that everyone has a limit, and sometimes getting to that limit isn't pretty at all. When someone, male or female, is constantly breaking the rules, the boundaries, the promises, and you keep on trying to love them, but it's just not working for one reason or another, it's hard to keep that going. And that's why Eminem is asking everyone, do you try more? That's no doubt the reason that later in the verse, Eminem proclaims happily that he broke up with this girl and that he scored by getting someone who loves him like he should now instead of abusing him like she did. He had enough. And that should be something that many should know, that if you reach your breaking point in a relationship and you don't think it can help, you need to get out. Number 1, guilty.
The jury don't call me guilty, even though you know the real me.
When Jessie Reyez gets in on the song at the end, you might be wondering what is there left to say? But as Reyez sings out, there's plenty to say. You bought the jury. They'll call me guilty. Even though you know the real me, you can't beat a cheater, convince a non-believer. And I ain't in my feelings. I'm out. This section actually turns the entire song on its head depending on how you read it. For here, Reyez is saying that Eminem rigged the system against her, which in this case means telling people that she was the bad guy so that he would come off looking like the good guy. And so she goes on and talks about how Eminem knows the real me, meaning that he knows what he says isn't true. And yet he's saying it anyway so he can get the sympathy vote from people. And she knows that there's no use in trying to turn him away from what he did because you can't do that to someone who is steadfast in their ways. And since she can't convince him, but I'll let you say that you're the good guy. A painful reminder that there are two sides to every story out there. So what'd you think of this breakdown of Good Guy by Eminem and featuring Jessie Reyez? Do you think that the two made good use of the track? Also, what was your favorite part of the lyrics or music video? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe and I'll see you next time. Hey, just a reminder that we're changing up the giveaways. From now on, we're offering the Galaxy Galaxy Note 9, the one that comes with the exclusive Fortnite skin, the new iPhone X Max, which we'll pre-order for you, and the new Apple Watch Series 4, which we'll also pre-order for you. The winner gets to decide between these three. Make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, drop a like, and comment the hidden message in the video for a chance to win. You got nothing to lose. Go for it.